But.
Yeah, just a dark screen. I mean,
She must have.
not even a box or
Thank
anything.
you.
Yeah.
I'll go back down with John.
I mean, it'd be like.
Yeah.
When I walk
Well,
out.
he's not. He might be.
Well, Janice just on a
Maybe
telephone.
possibly.
Yeah, because there's no requirement for her to be here, so there
No.
wouldn't be a requirement for her to do, Great. Okay, bye.
We'll go for the meeting and we'll start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You like to come up here, would you like to stay here?
You are.
Unless you want to stay here.
You are first.
Hello, Grace.
Everybody, alrighty, happy new year.
You.
So I sent around a copy that you could look at thoroughly. I think it helps to sort of review what we've done. It's always kind of amazing at the end of the year to look back and see what's been accomplished. Obviously, the big thing for this year was getting the comprehensive plan underway. So, there is a subcommittee, a steering committee that moved that along, and that is continuing to move it along into the drafting of the 9 sections of the plan that ultimately will be delivered hopefully in this quarter. That's the plan. So the plan is a March delivery with all of that in it. The housing committee sort of transferred all of their responsibilities over to Adam DeSantis, who's really handling it from a DMO perspective. So they did not meet at all this year. The appearance committee was happy to have the Peacock Park master plan. It feels like an entire lifetime since we drafted it, and now that's been adopted. So I know the fences are up and we're working on water access and new docks or new access for kayaks, et cetera. And then the other thing that they're working on is Teddy Bear Park, and I know Jackie and I met with Rotary trying to help them understand what we're trying to do in that park. I know that Arts Alliance has applied for a grant from them to get the sidewalk game board painted. And I didn't know if they were they're gonna also maybe try and help us with playground equipment and things, accessible playground equipment specifically, so. Community Day continues to grow and be a bigger and bigger event for our community, so that will continue going forward. The Arts Alliance facilitated the 2 murals on the Golden Arrow. We were able to introduce them to the artists to get that piece done. I think there are 2 more of those slated for this year. And we have a plan and a scope of work to paint a mural on Roby's building that Greg is using for bike rentals. We had applied for a grant, which we were denied, so, or which we were not accepted for, I think is probably more appropriate. So we're working through trying to figure out how to fund that, and potentially wanting to have a conversation about applying for a LEAF grant, either through the LEAF or through the town or the village, to help us pay for that. Or other sources if we can find them. LEED certification is underway, so it's with the Green Building Council for review, so we're just waiting for some answers on that. Dark skies, and John, feel free to add anything that you'd like to. They've created informational materials. I know they've got a draft proposed modification to the land use code, so that's probably the biggest thing that they've accomplished for this year. And then last but not least, to the childcare committee, which is a work in progress, trying to figure out how to establish some sort of affordable childcare for birth to 3, which is the challenge.
Is also part of that, making it sustainable too. Is that
Ideally,
the hard part?
I think the hard part is birth to 3.
Well, it's sustainability,
Yeah.
so fundraising mechanisms, and it's one of those things, we're very. I mean, it's a little premature, but we're very optimistic about having something in place by next September. I'll say that, and then we're working on mechanisms to keep it funded. We have meetings with the foundation other people to see how we can get that moving forward. But yes,
It's been a long, I mean, it's been a process, so it's probably been
it'll be a
in
pilot
the works for a
program.
year or more now, so, but it has gone relatively quick, given
And see,
other
that's,
things.
to me, that's the hardest thing we got going, is childcare. And it's been, let's say, 22 years. But mine,
Not quite as
so,
long as parking, but.
no, but I mean, for me, it was 22 years ago, and I just, you knew it was like, what's gonna happen?
I'll point the finger at Katie, Brennan, she's been, doing all this, this process, yeah. Looks like, it's one of those things we've worked on for a year or two, but it looks, many years of talking about it. This particular committee working on it for a year or two, but it could actually happen. So a lot of committees I'm on, nothing happens this way. I think something's gonna actually happen.
No, it's good. It feels like it has really come together, and I think everybody around the table's had a lot of really great energy,
Yeah, I
and
think it's getting some
people have
traction.
stepped up and.
We
yeah,
meet on
so-
Wednesday again.
Yeah, and I think it's become a more prevalent conversation than it had been. It was sort of a quiet conversation, I think, before then. But I think with the comprehensive plan, those conversations, it was a big topic of conversation. So it is one of our priorities for 2025, which I guess is this year now. So obviously, top priority is to continue to work on that comprehensive plan. So there are 9 sections that'll have input from I think there's subcommittees is the best way to put it, of community members who will help to develop and flesh out the details of those particular topics as we go forward. We're continuing to work with Adam on housing and in support of his efforts in housing. The other, and I think the 2 big things that came out of the public input from the comprehensive plan was housing and recreational opportunities. So one of those things is to, and I know Katie has started this, to get a working committee going to talk about access and recreational activities. Things like bike paths, but also lake access is a huge piece of it. Given what's happening with all the marina situation. So, and Dean just let me know that Eric Bacchus at Clarkson, his students are starting a new semester and they're interested in potentially having them help us take a look at how would we create better public access to the lake, particularly Lake Placid.
And just to clarify, I think the work that I've been talking to people about involved with is more on the kind of trail connection side of it, and hasn't really involved anything about the lake. But I know that there's other conversations, and that's been happening.
Childcare, we just talked a little bit about, and also getting our LEED certification. And we plan to continue to work on, the work that we're doing to improve local parks. So we are still talking about Teddy Bear. There's still a lot of work to be done in Peacock. But then there are other conversations as we get to the other side of town and have conversations around the DRI, which hopefully we're fortunate enough to get, but there are other parks that are gonna need some attention as we go forward, particularly in terms of playground equipment and like. So we're gonna wanna get some community feedback on drafting the light ordinance during the final phases of the comp plan. So that, people don't feel like everybody has to strip all the lights out of their house and start over again. And understanding what they can do to help in that regard. We also need to establish some strategic plans for public art in the community and grant opportunities. I think the Arts Alliance is a bit stymied because every time we have a concept or an idea, we bump into how are we paying for it? And we have no mechanism to pay for it. So more private partnerships like the one we did with the Golden Arrow. Not everyone is as generous with that concept as the Whole Breeds, but trying to find more of those opportunities, but also wanting to do some artwork around the rail trail, which is why we're kind of focused on that building at the end of the rail trail. So there are a lot of opportunities and things that we still talk about. We're just a little bit feeling like we're spinning our wheels just because we can't figure out how to pay for it.
Fire department tower, smoke tower that maybe we could have work on, not
Do you
them.
have some money?
But no, but what I mean, if you put it out there from the fire department, maybe there's different money. And there's grants.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the, some of the grants we're looking for are around recreational activities, and I know that we've been talking with Haley about that. So we're still gonna look at doing some things, trying to get this thing painted in the spring, that one building, particular building, because there is New York State money for recreational trails and recreational access. I could talk about
This
those.
is the building across from the fire department, right?
Yeah.
Where is there a spot where you can even paint a mural on
The
that?
side that faces the road trail.
It's not the one.
It's a big
That's
side.
awesome.
Is
It's a
it?
big
Yeah,
side, it's a big ugly side.
Yeah, so it's that whole, just think about how big that whole building was and.
When you come down Old
Yeah.
Military toward the firehouse, it's that whole wall. It's,
Oh, facing the street or
It-
around the side?
Facing-
it faces the rail
Facing the
trail
rail
itself,
trail,
yeah.
It's probably 16.
It's all aluminum siding, so we're going to have to paint on a different structure to fix that structure to the building, which is part of the expense that we'll have to incur. Doesn't have to be a water vapor, but it is gonna have to be a secondary service. Anyhow, but that plan is there, we just need to be able to fund it. We're continuing to work on growing community day and then working in support of the DRI, should that be supported, which we hope will have some funding for art, as well as the parks, obviously in that area are part of it. And the last thing sort of on my agenda, so we have 3 terms expiring this year and we're requesting reappointment. So they are Dean, Georgia Jones and Mike Butler. So they're 3-year terms, so they would be valid through 27 if they're reappointed. And then we wanted to redefine the village and town liaisons. And then the last piece is that we have invited the Rotary Club to join us. They're having a board meeting on Wednesday. And so they're gonna float that idea and see if somebody wants to do it. It'll mean that we'll change the day of our meeting and potentially the time because we conflict with their meetings. But we felt like that partnership was really important, given what their priorities have been and what our priorities have been and how often they cross paths. So Stephanie's working on that and gonna get back to me after they meet on Wednesday.
Was there any traction in getting some of the other voluntary organizations involved as well?
Such as, that was the only one I had on my list,
Oh,
cause
okay,
what other ones we have? So Rotary, there is no, Lions.
yeah, I didn't know. if
I know there
there
was a conversation about that, but then
Okay,
Emily asked the $1 million question and then we went down a rabbit hole. So. Just what they wanted to. I mean, they're welcome. I mean, if somebody wants to, we can certainly have a conversation, but. There's a direct connection between what the Rotary is doing and what we're doing, I think, so. So if we can just reappoint those 3, and if you have any questions or anything you wanna add or subtract, that's.
Who is our village rep now? Was it you originally?
It was, but then.
But now it's Katie,
Yeah.
okay.
Who's-
Yeah. but
So you
Jackie
should make
helps
some-
because a lot of the work does cross paths, so.
So I make a motion, we reappoint the 3 for 3 years, but you said 2027 and it's 25 and 25.
So they all do 25, 26, 27. Yeah, so they'll be re-upped in 28.
Second,
As long as we can do that without having it on the agenda already.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, second,
all in favor?
aye,
Very good.
Congratulations.
And Katie will be the village rep, okay, and I'll get back to you guys and let you know, what Rotary says and who that volunteer might be. When that person leaves the room and they don't like them.
Great.
How that works. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good, thank, and just to say thank you, I think that the work around all of the work, but I think the comp plan stuff has really helped to drive
A lot of other things.
other things, so that's been.
Good
That's
seeing you,
been
Dean.
quiet.
Gotta get out there.
Yeah, which we couldn't have done without you, so.
Okay, moving into item 3, regular board meeting. The first issue is regular board meeting minutes, December 16th.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Item B, agreement for maintenance of county roads with Essex County.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item C, HSN Employee Assisted Service Agreement.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Building Department registration letter. That you mentioned that is, I'm sure.
Resignation, I mean,
Heather.
it is Heather Harris.
Should I have you read that or just mention the name? Go for it.
If you want me to, I can, and
Sure.
please accept this letter as notice of my formal resignation as account clerk of the Village of Lake Placid. My last day will be Wednesday, January 8th, 2025, which marks my 2-week notice. I appreciated the opportunity you have given me in this position. I have really enjoyed learning about all aspects of municipal billing, account clerk duties, and interacting with customers. If something arises in the future in another department, I would be extremely interested. Thank you for your understanding. I wish you and the company the best in the future. Sincerely, Heather Hayhurst.
Okay, motion to accept resignation.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, Heather, for your years of service.
Which one?
And then item E is opening or posting account clerk, opening our position. Motion to approve,
I'll make the motion.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Item F, review board appointments. We can probably do these both together if you'd like, and then the zoning board of appeals member reappointments. Is it okay to do both, everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, can you read what they are and how long?
For the review board, Bob Rafferty for a 3-year term expiring end of 27. Rick Thompson for a 4-year term expiring end of 28, and Chip Bissell to a 5-year term expiring end of 29. And for ZBA, Jonathan Gravitt for a 5-year term expiring 29.
I'll make the motion to approve reappointments.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Once again, thank you, thank them for all their service and for agreeing to re-up. Item H, Canadian hockey, pond hockey flags and tent, February 6th through 9.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
And the tent.
The tent goes on the Golden Arrow property off the beach and it goes on the lake. They just put it
If
up.
it's safe,
Right,
Oh,
which
okay.
the last couple of years has
and
not
not,
been.
no, they've been on the oval.
Yeah, but I looked at the long-term forecast and it's looking pretty good. So, I mean, I was looking at Saranac Lake today.
If our weather stays the way it is, we'll be able to.
Yeah.
So right now, these next 20 days are the coldest continuous 20 days since 2000.
Nice.
And it's still not that cold.
No, I walked this morning.
It's a good amount of cold. Yeah, I don't want it any.
It was
just a little bit
it
cold.
was 6 below this morning. It was beautiful.
Yes, I
It is beautiful, yeah.
Let's, usually when we're cold, Florida's cold, let's hope that the Gulf of Mexico cools
Mm.
on, because that's where these big storms blowing up so fast have come from.
I've got friends in South Carolina and they say they're expecting snow. They shut down DC
Wow.
yesterday because of the storm that was coming today.
Hmm.
And they had to approve items. So the whole government was shut down today. That's pretty funny.
Did you see any of the pictures on the national news of the car just sitting there sliding sideways? It reminded me of the upper NBT lot when parked cars started sliding into each other. Wow.
I've seen the pictures of, I want to say, I can't never say it right, Barnensville. Where they got all
Oh,
that
yeah.
snow and it was just like,
Barneveld?
Barneveld.
Barneveld, which is, yeah, it's outside of Utica.
they got whacked.
Yeah.
And the only other thing we should probably make sure with the tent, if it does move to the lake, is that no alcohol will be served in it, right?
No, there's alcohol.
There's alcohol.
Is there?
Well, because it's,
If it's on the lake?
well, it's kind of on the beach, on the lake. We're on Golden Arrow's property.
Oh, okay, very
So
good.
it's not on my property.
All in favor, why do we have to approve it then if it's on Golden Arrow property?
Because the hockey flags,
Yeah, but
I mean,
we've approved the tent too, but that has been a question in recent years, why we have to, but I think because we've always done it, they keep coming to us with it, so.
Let's not break tradition. All in favor?
Aye.
Anything else to come from clerk?
Nope, that was all.
Great. Under treasury items, warrant affidavit number 11. Thank you, Jackie. A motion to approve,
I'll make the motion.
I'll second,
all in favor?
I,
can we sign it?
Nope.
And I'm assuming nothing else from treasury, no one didn't say any word or. Anything under new business?
just wanna, you got the memo that I sent out on Friday about the new STR platform. Did anybody have any questions? I mean,
Sounds sensible.
yeah,
Thank you.
you know, the biggest thing is that somebody local will be answering the call. So it's huge, at least, you know, they'll get a response.
I think the biggest thing is we could find out about. Cause I asked about the fireworks. And they were professional. That big, they weren't just,
Who did them?
the police went to them, so they found them.
Where were they? Village or town?
So I think,
Who was it?
I don't know, Doug didn't say.
Thank you.
He didn't say, but he said, yes, they had, but he saw it on the roll call. You know, on the call, so
So what is the legal recourse and how does that happen? Do you
I
know?
don't know, I just,
Fireworks are not allowed.
But if they do, I'll talk to Chuck, see if he has some information for me.
Professional fireworks aren't allowed.
Well, you can't
Right.
stop.
but I mean, little ones are little, but when my dog's going crazy, I follow always. And the other one I talked to Chuck about, which we've talked, and there's nothing we can do. But it's just a danger that he and everybody's aware of are those scooters. I mean, the scooter was coming down Hill, I call it Hilton Hill. Do you know what that is?
Olympic Drive.
It's coming down
No.
by the Hilton, so it's.
It's
Oh,
not
I
safe.
see.
Saranac Avenue.
So they're coming down to number one, and there were, in the snow was this guy, and he's like, oh my gosh, if he slides out in front of my truck, there's no way.
Well, I think what the plan to do, especially with the J1s, is that prior to COVID, Roost used to do a welcome to the J1s. And there was an opportunity to explain to them what we, and Mary Jane and Roost are in the process of reinstituting that. So we'll have an avenue to be able to say, you know, at least, yes, we drafted a scooter policy or ordinance, which we can't really put in place, but we can hand it out and say, look, you know, here.
I think that education side is so
Education, and
helpful.
it's just like,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be riding a bicycle. A little skinny bicycle coming down, and I mean, those wheels are literally that big, and that was just like,
Where do they get them?
They buy them themselves.
Oh, they don't get them from?
No.
so we looked into.
They get there and they order them from Amazon, they're there in 3 days and they leave them there. For the next,
And
they
then
sell them
them
to the next round of
for
J1s.
$100, you know, everybody.
I was gonna say if they were given by the motels or the hotels.
We'd have some recourse, but we
you could
really
hold them
don't.
liable, but okay, very good. Anything else under new business?
Another thing you did notice that Kathy Hochul signed the STR law where they have to start collecting sales tax.
Long time coming.
Yep.
So now does that mean they're a business?
No,
No.
it just means they're
You still won't call it
collecting
business.
sales.
Baby steps.
I'm just asking, as I watch that guy go up and down and ruin my driveway.
And
But he
really,
has a permit.
I know, but he's not supposed to because he's in a development.
No. He,
And there's not a business that if you read our,
So you're saying the guy that lives the place above you rents his place out?
yeah, but.
Did he have a permit before?
He has a permit, she's saying.
Oh, was he
but
grandfathered?
well, yes, but he's claiming the deed,
Our deeds
our deeds, which,
say that there is no
Oh,
business
so it's,
allowed.
it's a deed restriction.
Mhm.
so you can't run a business, but
no,
they go.
you can't have mother-in-law apartments, you can't have, but this is 30 years old and nobody ever challenged it. So Andrew, it's past practice, and if you wanna start a homeowners association, go right ahead.
Well.
No, I'm saying,
But
you've
by
got,
the same token, he doesn't have any leg to stand on just because it's not declared a business.
Right.
That day will come, baby steps. Anything else under new business? Old business. Mayor items, nothing that I've got. Other than I had correspondence from Dave Simon in LA congratulating us on being considered an alternate for Torino, Torino, yeah. For Torino.
No, Cortina, Milan,
Cortina.
Milan, complete Cortina.
That's all I've got. And commissioner reports, anybody have anything?
I'd just say the reports from business, especially the last week or 10 days of December for everybody was off the charts.
Was it?
Restaurants and retail,
From
so
what I heard.
I think
about
just the way it
streets,
fell, it was this kind of perfect storm.
And I went
Really,
down-
Wednesdays?
It
No.
was weird, cause to me Wednesday was the worst.
Yeah.
5 years ago, and I went down to S'mores on New Year's Eve and it was, it was well received. I don't want to say anything else, but it was a very diverse
Nice.
group of people.
And the street's usually dead New Year's Day, but like people were out and about and in businesses and going out. and stayed through the whole
on
weekend.
Friday, and I was like, oh, this is great, everybody's, will be coming, so they left on New Year's, cause schools around here went back. And the mountain was packed.
It was
I was
busy.
out, I was out of there by 11 because there was so many, but just, it was very good, and everybody I talked to, like Mark said, there was a lot of people.
Nice. I can remember Lori Fitzgerald years ago when she was at the High Peaks Resort saying that their busiest day of the year, the one single busiest day was New Year's. And then DWIs and tickets and all that caught up. And it got to the point, at least in our place, I know everyone left the day before New Year's to go home to their own places.
Oh.
And then we still were slow in the motel. And then it's interesting now to see we're 2 solid weeks of business or 10 days. That's really good to see.
Yeah, cause like Jackie said, when she was at the Hilton, and when I was at the restaurant at Pitfell on Wednesday,
Yeah.
we were screwed
Yeah.
because you got. Some people came
Yes,
For a
for
couple of
the,
days,
for the
yeah.
week, and then they were gone, and then the next ones came. You had a lot of dead space, so that's.
That was
to
good.
know.
nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear it.
2 quick updates from me, which we've already talked about a little bit, but the child care committee, the next meeting is Wednesday afternoon. And I think that there's been a lot of good coordination and support from the town as well, and Jason Leon has been involved with that, so we're hoping to kind of start to move it forward to the next phase, look at funding options there, and then we've got a meeting tomorrow morning on the Trails Connectivity work. And again, we've got a really good mix of people around the table, so.
And a lot of enthusiasm too.
Yeah, super good energy, so we're trying to hone in on what the priorities and the kind of near-term priority focus areas might be there. So I think that
Great.
would be good.
And I think with the rail trail, once we do the bathrooms and everything, it's gonna be a big more of a boost down there.
Does anyone know where they are on their funding?
The last time I had talked to OSI, they were,
250,000 still, that's the last I knew. That was a
yeah, they
while
were
back.
250, but that. And asking Peter what that meant, would they be cutting anything out? He said, we'll get to that 250,000, he wasn't too concerned. So,
We're going into broke January, so maybe in February, the fundraising.
Yeah.
Pick back up. Okay. Anything else? Great. Center stage, any questions of us?
Not much, just checking, am I right in assuming that the county roads maintenance is just a routine?
Yes.
Okay, so they figured, and then, I don't think, you probably all are the ones to ask about this, but since the talk of J1s came up, something I've been wondering about is whether there are any concerns about the new presidential administration and switching things up with visas. Has anyone heard anything? I was just wondering who would be a good person who might have a pulse on something like that.
Maybe one of the bigger hotel owners who
Okay.
uses them, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
or Orta, I mean, cause they probably use it the most,
yeah, okay,
The mountain and all that.
yeah.
sure, okay. Just wondering.
Yeah. Anybody that's online that have any questions of the board? Okay,
Motion we adjourn.
Second,
all in favor?
aye.
Thank you very much.
Oh, they already hung up.
Grace, you wanted that?
I got it now. Yeah.